Good morning and welcome. We are back for another edition of the Business Breakfast Show. I'm David Bell, joined in the virtual studio, as always, with my co-host and great friend, Mr. Nick Looby, broadcasting all around the world on all the platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch as well. So if you are watching us on one of those channels, give us a wave, give us a shout out, pop your comments into the chat anytime over the next hour. And we'll pick up on those. We'll share them with the world. We'll give you a shout out, tell people who you are, what you do, why you do it. And more importantly, today is all about business hacks. And if you have a hack that you're utilizing in your business or you've been using over the years, then share it with us and we will share it with the world. And maybe we'll reach further afield. You never know. Wherever you're tuning in from as well, let us know. If you're coming from the UK, maybe as we are live in Essex, or if you're coming from the other side of the pond in the US of A because you're up early in the morning, or maybe you're coming from the Far East and it's just reaching afternoon. Let us know who you are and what you're doing. Good morning, Nick. Another week is upon us, another great show, over a year into all our fantastic shows now. We're still inspiring, educating, informing, and more importantly, having fun.
God, you're good. What a great start. What a great start to a show. Fantastic, my friend. I thought I was never going to get a word in. Well, I'm really excited, as always, mate. Very, very excited about the discussions ahead. You know, we are at the home of conversation, after all. As always, live and unscripted. Okay, so we're going to be talking about business hacks. As always, lovely audience, let us know your thoughts, your feelings. What is it in your world that you think, you know what, here's a really good shortcut that I use. This really helps me out. This keeps me focused. This gets my business moving forward. What is it you do? Hacks is quite a cool word for it. Do people still use the word hacks, do you think? Yeah. Is there a different word that we should be using?
Well, I suppose a hack is kind of a cheat, isn't it? In a way. It's a way of doing something more efficiently, hopefully, in the case what we're talking about, more efficiently, quicker, possibly saving money, so more cost effective. So I think we'll stick to the hack word, but I suppose we could substitute it with the word cheat in speech marks.
Yes, it's a good cheat, right?
A good cheat, of course.
It's just a shortcut. Is that another cheat? Taking a shortcut? Do you think?
Yeah, and of course,
cheat gets a bad press.
Yeah, shortcuts probably better, but I think also we need to point out here, just because it's as a hack, it's a shortcut or it's a cheat. In some cases, it's not going to be great for everything because sometimes you can't always take the shortcut routes. Sometimes, it's going to be effort that's required. There is no hack for something. But I always think there's ways to innovate. So, a hack could be an innovation as well. There's always things to look at, to tweak, to see how you can change it up a little bit. Utilize technology. We're going to touch on some of that today. Utilize other people. People who can do it better than you, maybe. So, it's kind of a workaround in some cases. It's a hack in others. It's a cheat in others. I suppose a hack, we don't say when we're playing Monopoly, I'm going to hack this. You say I'm going to cheat. Well, maybe you don't. But you get the idea. Whoa. This is something to possibly springboard you in front of everybody else, give you an advantage. And in the return, it's going to save you time, money, and hopefully effort as well.
Sounds good to me, mate. So yes, get on the platforms. Start to share. Hello, Lee Strachan.
Lee from Leigh-on-Sea, which is also in sunny Essex here in the UK. Good morning, Lee. A guest of the show, of course, a friend of the show, from a technology company. Probably has one or two hacks that you might be able to share with us that would be very useful for our audience, using technology. What hacks do you have, Lee? Let us know. What hacks do you have I was going to say at home, but you might not be at home, at the office, maybe at your kitchen table. What hacks do you have? Share with us this morning. Pop them in the chat. We'll see what comes in. We've had a few already. And I've got pages this morning, Nick. I wrote down loads of notes. I've got loads of stuff here that are really great hacks. But before we jump 2 feet first, should we talk about something in the news?
Yeah, I think we've upset this fella because he got annoyed and he took it out on not us, but a company, I believe. So I think on the back of our conversations last week, mate, it's probably our fault, but nothing can be proven. But yeah, let's talk about this guy.
Yeah, Mr. Elon Musk. It's probably no shock to you. Most of you have probably read the news, heard the stories, seen the comments. Do you agree or disagree? But yes, Elon Musk this week made quite a substantial investment, $44 billion, the equivalent of around about 34.6 billion pounds sterling. And yeah, bought up the rest of the shares, the social media platform Twitter. Now, do you use Twitter firstly? Has this put you off? Has it maybe inspired you to start using Twitter? And what do you think is his reasons for doing it? What do you think, Nick?
Well,
being, sometimes the one that's going to challenge Mr. Musk on this, what do you think his reasoning behind it is?
So last week, I think the point I was making, right, you were talking about how profitable the Tesla had become. Less profitable now. This week, the story is slightly different. The point I was making, I don't trust him. Right? But don't know him well enough, of course. So when I look at his purchase of Twitter, makes me wonder, I'm slightly cynical, that it's not for the most positive reasons. Now, I know he wants, freedom of speech, say what you like. Here's a platform that's totally open to say what you like. I think that creates, if you're not careful, like a lot of social media, a very toxic environment. You could hide behind freedom of speech. However, you could also create a very toxic environment. I don't know what the point of him buying Twitter outside of I want to control this space. I don't know.
What's quite interesting, and I read, various comments from various platforms, and one of them said, why didn't he just start up his own platform? He spent $44 billion, and he's got absolutely the ability, maybe not him directly, but to build a team that could take on the likes of Twitter. So why didn't he do it himself? And of course, then there's lots of feedback and comments is that what he's bought really is the database, the engagement, the people that are already on the platform. And that's what he's really bought into. He's bought control. I think is one of your words, Nick.
There's a hack, right? Don't build from the ground up. Don't go to all the effort of building something when you can buy it. Okay, it's quite pricey, but
loose change, isn't it?
It's already built. It's already built. It's up and running. Buy it and tweak it. You don't build a car, do you, from scratch? You buy one. Well, he builds them from scratch.
I was going to say he built them from scratch, and in my personal opinion, done quite well as well. So there you go. So yeah, look out. Elon Musk is on the rampage now of changing Twitter. Probably, I can see. I think Donald Trump will be back on Twitter, and I'm not a Donald Trump fan, but he does put some great little posts out there. Things that you just have to make you smile because they're so ridiculous sometimes. Let's see if we can upset Donald Trump this week. Donald, if you're watching this, we look forward to seeing you back on Twitter so we can take the out of you.
It's just ridiculous noise. Ridiculous noise. I tell you what, those people out there who use Twitter for business think, right, without Twitter, my business would be worse off. Or I love Twitter because I post stuff on Twitter and I actually get business out of it. You might get followers, you might get notification, you might kind of increase, let's say, brand presence. I know people do that very well on social media platforms. But do you actually win business through Twitter? Because if so, that sounds like a bit of a hack, right? It sounds like a shortcut because, send some tweets and win some business.
I'd like to know how they are doing it as well. I have a Twitter account. I've got a fair number of followers. I don't really spend much time in it, to be honest. I don't really get Twitter personally. I just find it very fast moving, too fast paced for me. And I love technology. And I'd love to know, I've never won any, well, not I know of. I don't think I've picked any business up through the Twitter medium. And I'd love to know how people do make it work for them and monetize it, apart from being a debating platform, which is kind of what I use it for when I'm reading, seeing what people are talking about and how Jeremy Clarkson can upset the world with a tweet and stuff like that. That's where I think it can be quite fun. And
it's quite a touchy space. If it was I do my pub test with social media platforms. If Twitter was a pub, would I want to go in? The answer is no.
My good friend, James Whale, and radio DJ, has been around for many years now and done a number of radio stations, talk radio and talk TV. They've launched Talk TV. We have to see if we can get on there, Nick, and talk about Chatbox Productions. They're probably just a little bit bigger than what we are, but we can probably learn a lot from the masterminds behind it. But James Whale, going back, why I mentioned him, and he uses Twitter a lot, and he uses it as a real kind of debating platform. He's very opinionated in a good way. He's a really good journalist, so he will go off and do his research, and then he will utilize that against people, but give them the opportunity to come back and even join him on the show or on the radio and tell him why, or tell him why their opinion matters.
Yeah, we're broadcasting across Twitter. If you're on Twitter right now and you're tuning in.
No. We were broadcasting across Twitter till we started talking about Elon Musk and he switched us off.
Fair enough. Wouldn't be the first time we got chucked out of a social platform for saying the wrong thing. Woo!
Yeah,
good trouble.
We have done quite well.
Create good trouble. There's a hack that I love.
Anyway, talking about hacks, let's move on. Well done, Ellen, on getting Twitter. We look forward to see what you're going to do with it. Hopefully,
we'll have him on the show. He can tell us all about it.
But moving on, Lee has put. We're asking for hacks, by the way, today. Lee Strachan has put his hack in here. Run for the hills, but putting jokes aside, AirPods to cut staff noise pollution. I think that's quite a good hack. If you want to cut staff noise pollution, you're working in the office. There's a lot of chitter and chatter and background noise. You could pop your AirPods in. Of course, you could play music. You just put them in airplane mode. And if it's not your AirPods, you can get your headphones out and pop them on instead. Noise cancelling ones were required though for that.
A noticeable hack. If you want, you're in the office and you don't want to be disturbed. Okay, pretty standard practice. Stick your headphones on. It's much more difficult to tap someone on the shoulder and say, "Oh, I need to have a word with you," if they've got headphones on. So if you've got some deep work to be doing, you need to focus and concentrate. Headphones on sends that external signal to your colleagues that I'm in the middle of something. Please don't disturb me.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite interesting. On Monday, I was in the room and I was with someone that's a developer, and they sit there and program and code and stuff like that. And this individual said that they have to be in a quiet space when they're doing their coding and programming. I kind of get it. For me, if I'm working on something and focusing, I need a quiet space. But some like background noise and lots of people around them, and lots of coders and programmers, and you've probably seen kind of the stereotypical kind of thing. They're sitting there with their headphones on, jiving off to music. And I suppose it's different for us all. So let's talk about hacks kind of in the office environment. Your workspace. I think it's quite an important one. I like, if I should get my other camera and I could give you a kind of a view of my office area here. I like a clean, contemporary, uncluttered, everything in the right place, OCD type of environment. That's how I like to work. So things are all kind of in the right places. And even sometimes the pen's not straight. I'll give it a little twiddle to get it straight. Get it? OCD cut at its best, of course. But how do you like, Nick, how do you like your environment? What's your work environment look like?
Like a tidy desk. All right. My desk currently, fortunately, don't have another camera to show you. Not tidy. Okay. And it does get to me. I am more productive with a tidy desk. So one of my hacks is, if I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed with lots of stuff in the office, and you're not a paper fan, but I am, so I'm surrounded by bits of paper, I will clear off to somewhere that gives me a clearer space. My dining room, ideally. Big table. Okay. I can work on my dining room table. I can then spread out, when I'm writing my book, for example, clear a space, spread out my notes, and then I can just focus on that one thing. in the office here, I've got multiple different things vying for my attention. So, I'll go off to somewhere noisy. I'll go off to a coffee shop and write my book, because that's quite a comforting noise, which kind of just allows me to, oddly enough, zone in to the job at hand. Strange.
Yeah, so we all like something different, how we want to set ourselves up, and how we want to kind of are you a standing type desk person? Oh, let me just mute that. What I was doing, I was going to try and bring.
While you're muting that, we have lovely Emma Cook, friend of the show.
I can't mute myself.
Cluttered mind, not helpful for productive work. Very, very true. You surround yourself with distractions, and don't be surprised if you're distracted. Morning, Emma. Hope the sun is shining down in lovely Wales.
My apologies. What I was trying to do is I was going to get the other camera on, and that's why we had a bit of background loop noise there as I was trying to achieve the extra camera connected, which I'm going to just redo now. And I was going to just
unscripted. This is what it looks like.
Absolutely, right, so, and hopefully this will work this time. Let's see what happens.
We should add live, unscripted, and unplanned. Right. Oh, there's a good idea. Let's try this. Off we go. So while you're doing that, another friend of the show has shared their thoughts and opinions here. Dom Tyler. Hello, morning, Dom.
Morning, Dom. Morning.
I have an old style kitchen timer from Amazon. Here we go. Set at 20 minutes, so I can hit start when I need to focus. Very cool hack, right? I've heard of it as the Pomodoro technique. Okay, kitchen timer, set it 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever the length of time is that you need to focus. For me, I reckon it's about 25 minutes before I start to lose focus. Set the timer. I've got an app on my phone. It clicks away. Timer will go off. I get a 5-minute break. And then I do another chunk of 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Brilliant work, Dom. Brilliant work. So, 20-minute focus attention. No breaks until that 20-minute timer goes off. And then have a short break, and then you're back on it. And it's update, cloudy. Cloudy in Wales, not as sunny as it is here in Essex. Well, can't escape then, Em. You're stuck to the desk.
I'll get that camera on in a minute. It's hard to try and get the tech wirelessly connected up. But I know we were doing it. I could have done it beforehand.
If we knew what we were doing, mate, it would be so much easier.
Well, that's it. If we was to script out what we were talking about. Okay, so... Pomodoro works really well. Having that time, I've got here actually time out. So kind of that leads into that, doesn't it? Taking regular breaks. It's quite easy in today's world, certainly if you're working from home, to sit in front of your computer, have everything around you, your cup of coffee, your organized desk, however you like it, and then you get engrossed in what you're doing. And all of a sudden you do a Zoom call or a Teams call. There's an hour. You haven't stood up in that hour. And the next minute you've got another call lined up. And all of a sudden, 3 or 4 hours in, you've not moved from your chair. But one of the things I find really useful, and I know many others do as well, is taking kind of reasonably regular breaks. Certainly every hour, if you can, just get up, stretch your legs, have a walk around. And, if you can, get out and walk the dog, or just go to another room. It's a bit like if you're in the office, you might go from your desk to the kitchen to the water cooler. Well, if you're at home, working from home, you can kind of make your own route around your house, go and visit different rooms just to get up and move. And something else I find works really well when I'm hosting meetings, if they're going to be longer than they need to be, because here's the thing, not all meetings need to be hours long, but sometimes you get these longer meetings. Put in regular breaks. And I'm not, even if you're in the room, if you're virtual, do 45 minutes. Say, right, we're going to stop for a 10-minute break. Go and stretch your legs, fill up your coffee cup, have a quick comfort break, powder your nose, whatever it is. Give people the opportunity to get away, force them almost to get up and move, because it livens you up as well.
It does. Sitting is the new smoking, as they say, mate. So you can't sit on your backside all day. I know it's in an office environment, certainly working from home. You surround yourself with a few creature comforts, and before you know it, hours and hours go by, and you've not got off your backside. Not good at all for us. So take regular breaks. Set Dom's 20-minute timer. Everyone's loving this idea, Dom.
They are. Look, Laura's put in there. Great idea, Dom. Lots of feedback coming in there, so that's fantastic. What other ones we got, Nick? I've written down a few more here. Let's talk about
Got loads.
muting.
Got loads coming in as well. Got loads coming in.
There is,
got
yeah,
one coming in
the chat is flying. What about muting notifications as well? Oh, here we go. What we got here? Morning all. Hack for me, our emails is use the GTD methodology. Get things done. So dedicate time during the day to answer the quick emails, file the others for concentrating on once a day. I love that, Keith. Absolutely. I'm a zero inbox kind of guy. I am. I like to get my inbox, and pretty much what Keith has suggested there. If I get simple, quick response emails come in, bang, 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 off they go. I send them back quick. I might get other ones coming in, I'll react to them and say, thanks for your email. I know it's going to require a longer response. So I put, thanks for your email, noted kind of thing. And then I'll go back and put on the bottom of that, I'll be back to you later on this evening or tomorrow morning. And that gets from my inbox into my to-do list. So I have a to-do list folder in my inbox, and I move things that need action taking into there, and anything else just gets deleted pretty much. So that's how I run a zero inbox, and I get, like most, hundreds of emails a day. And if they're rubbish, careful with my words, Facebook doesn't like if we use those words, they star them out. I will just delete things I don't want, and if they're not important, thanks, but no thanks.
Yep, good work, mate. I wish I had a zero inbox. The intention is a zero inbox. I am not as officious as you of kind of going through it, or as Keith, banging through the stuff that matters. Instant reply. I'm led to believe if it's 30 seconds, get it done, respond to it there. If it's going to take longer, then file it for your other stuff. Absolutely right. Good hack, mate.
Good one here from David as well. David Bancroft, friend of the show. Welcome this morning, David. If I'm using the phone, I automatically stand up. Can't sit down and use the phone. And I know, David, you're a real phone type of guy. You're utilizing it, speaking to your customers and your portfolio of clients and stuff like that. And you're constantly on the phone, amongst other ways of communication as well. And I agree. If you gets you out of that sitting down, that new smoking sitting scenario. So you get up. Mobiles now are not tethered. There's no cable, unless you're charging it, of course. But it means you can get up and move around and have that phone call.
Yep, and Helen agrees. Movement helps you think and feel refreshed. What's not to love? Absolutely right. And most headphones, right, are Bluetooth enabled. So you don't even need your phone's in your pocket. You've got your headphones on. You can have conversations outside. You can go for a walk, right? Great hack. Right? Have someone go for a walk, and also have some of these kind of business conversations that you need to have while you're outside. What's not to like about that? Thank you, Helen.
Adding to the hack David mentioned, obviously you could be using your mobile, but rather than holding it here, grab your AirPods. Just have one of them in if you wish to do so. I won't put that in because it will probably cut over to that. Put one of them in. And, you can leave your phone on the desk and you can still have that conversation. So you can still be walking around the room, but hands-free. You don't have to have it on speakerphone. I know some people like to do that. In fact, Nick, have you ever been walking out and about, and I'm sure this has happened to us all, and you're walking down the road and the person in front of you or coming towards you has got their phone down here, and it's not on a FaceTime call because they're like this, and they've got it on full blast speaker. You can hear the whole conversation, and they're talking to the bottom of their phone.
Yeah, I saw someone doing that yesterday. It seems to be the done thing ever since they started doing it on kind of reality TV shows and stuff. There's stuff like the Apprentice, right? Because the audience wants to hear as well. And then for some reason, people seem to have adopted that everything's a blooming reality show and everyone needs to hear your conversation. No, the TV companies want you to do that for, from a production point of view, because there's an audience wanting to listen to this interaction. That doesn't apply to the rest of the world. If you're not on The Apprentice, put the phone against your ear, for goodness sake. We don't need to hear the nonsense, especially when you start ranting and having a go. Comedy Central. Ridiculous.
Top hack here. This is brilliant. Lucy's advice: just don't open the emails. Don't open the email box. And then there's no distraction. It's very true. That's one on our list, isn't it? Turn off notifications. I was about to mention it earlier. Turn off those. Close the inbox. Get rid of the Outlook or whatever it is you're using, distractions disappear, as he says, as it just pops up on his screen. A guest for the show coming on, just as a reminder. A distraction just appeared, just as I was talking about it.
So, yeah, Lucy is absolutely right. Thank you, Laura, for sharing that. Okay, anything that's distracting is gonna break your focus. Okay, the myth that we are really good at multitasking is exactly that. It's a myth, right? One thing at a time. We can't. We try and do lots of things at a time, but the detriment of going from one task to the next is ridiculous. Okay, one thing at a time. And on another point that Lucia mentions, all right, that generation won't be an email generation. Right, our kids' generation simply not an email generation. Right, they're the messaging generation. So emails less of an issue for those. Messaging far more of an issue. So they won't be opening all the nonsense emails because they'll be sending a lot less. They'll be sending less. Send less, you get less. All right. So if email is an issue, send less and you'll receive less. What's Dom saying?
He's telling us just to snooze all those emails. In Gmail, there's an option to pop it onto snooze so they don't clutter up your inbox. They don't jump out and alert you or nag you to respond until you're ready to. I suppose for me, just keep the mailbox closed and open it. I suppose if you're trying to create content, you don't want stuff pouring in. I think this is where Dom's going with this. If you're maybe sending some important emails, you don't want to see the stuff coming in, and that's what this option does. You can turn off incoming and carry on doing what you want to do without being annoyed or alerted to incoming stuff. So yeah, another great hack there, Dom. But yeah, mute those notifications. Turn off that mobile phone. You know, there's times that you need to focus and concentrate.
People don't know how to turn the phone off.
Right, here we go. Here is a way of doing it. You know, it depends on the device, but you can go in and just put it into airplane mode. If that doesn't work, switch it off. And if that doesn't work because you don't know how to do it, just go and leave it in a totally different room so you can't hear it or see it. Because sometimes that is a massive distraction.
One of the big messages I leave audiences, mate, when I, you know, those days when I used to be on stage and deliver keynote talks, one of the big messages I would leave people with after talking about communication technology is airplane mode. Okay, you can swipe up, hit the button, airplane mode. Okay, you're not going to miss anything. When you turn it off, it'll, you know, notifications will come in. And what I discovered, airplane mode, this is my big kind of finish. Airplane mode was designed for those people who want to fly, not necessarily those people getting on planes,
but
those people who really want to fly. So if you're serious about something, you want to fly, then activate airplane mode and really focus on the stuff that you need to do.
Keep those hacks coming into the chat. There's some fantastic ones coming in there. Nick, you were talking about audio messaging. It's one of my favorite hacks at the moment. I use it a lot. And why do I use it? Because I can use it anytime, anywhere where I need to communicate, know that the person on the other end has received it. And it does create this kind of response that you do get a response reasonably quickly. Unlike an email, you know, you might not get a response for an hour, a day, a couple of days. In some cases, someone might leave it a week. But if I put an audio message into their inbox, I typically get a response quite quick. So I use things like WhatsApp, of course, or iMessage, really great platforms. Of course, you have to have a kind of relationship with these people. It's a bit weird if you just start sending audio messages randomly to people you don't know. It's possible. I don't use it in that respect. But if I'm working with a customer or a supplier or a friend or whatever it's going to be, quite often I will use audio messages. I send a lot when I'm out walking the dog and I've got clear time to think. Then I can ping across a message or something like that. So audio messaging is great because when you send it, keep it short and sharp and succinct, but you send it in their inbox, they get it, it's an audio message, and quite often they will listen to it and respond. And they encourage them to respond with audio as well. Quite often, you know, you send one and the person on the other end mirrors your habit and they will then do that back. And LinkedIn, for those that are watching us on LinkedIn, if you're on the mobile device, and you go into messaging, you can actually record a 60-second audio message. So rather than typing, you can hold down the button, record your 60-second, up to 60 seconds audio message and click send. And then it ends up in their LinkedIn mailbox as well. So that's a really great way of doing it differently. Putting communications in someone's inbox, good marketing technique as well, because you're a little bit different and standing out from the crowd, as I like to call it.
Donna's a big fan. Audio messages work really well. One of the reasons they work really well is because there aren't that many of them. You know, it's fairly unique, I suppose. You get an audio message, you respond, and what I love about an audio message, mate, and you do lots, and you're normally out with the dog, so you know, you're using great use of time. Okay, you send an audio message, I'll respond with an audio message. Right, you get the real you. Okay, you get this authentic version. Okay, you don't get a chance to you know, rehearse. Well, you could rehearse, but people wouldn't. Not like an email where you can perfect each line and delete that. It doesn't read well, and it's easier to interpret exactly what you mean because it's you and your voice, the authentic you.
Yeah, really, actually, it's a really important point, Nick, because quite often with text messaging, sending a physical message or email, interpretation or the context of that message can get lost in translation. How I meant to send it and what I thought was the interpretation might be different to the reader the other end. They might not quite get maybe how you meant it. But obviously with the audio, they can hear it in your voice. You know, whether you're talking in a happy or upset and angry voice.
That's more human.
That's
far more human.
Voice. So yeah, much more human. I have a quote actually, Nick. I'm gonna, because I know you're, you know, from human-centric worlds, and this is where Nick and I we have differences, but good differences. We're sometimes chalk and cheese, black and white. But you know, Nick is a human communicator, and I love to interject technology. And at some point, Nick and I meet in the middle, and we have this perfect balance. But I found this quote for you, Nick. Technology and automation, my bit. Technology and automation keeps people focused on the work only you as humans can do. And I love that. What it's allowing is to take tasks, things that we need to do in a daily life, and automate them, which is what I love to do. Automate processes so they happen while you sleep, while you're sitting on the beach, while you're having your family time or whatever it is that you want to do. But it frees up enough time that you can focus on the things that only you as a human being, not a machine, can do. And for me, that's relationship building. That's having great conversations, because that's what this show's about.
It is. It is. The idea behind your technology, I would like to think, is to enable more human, not to replace it. So if you're using your tech in a really smart way, you've got your systems automated, you've got stuff down, you know, you really are kind of all of the tasks that will bother you are being taken care of by your technology, so you can do all the human-centric stuff. Then that's good use of tech, right? Good tech, well done, because you're using it to enable more human. Okay, because the tech's not very good at the human stuff. Right, digital lacks empathy. Us humans don't forget that. Okay, so pour in the empathy where you can, where it's needed, and let the tech do the stuff that the tech's good at.
Yeah, if you ask my wife, by the way, she probably tells you I lack empathy, only at times, of course. But you're right. The human can empathize where the computer, the tech, can't. So it's a really good point. Before we move on, our guest has arrived in the green room, sitting backstage, listening to the show. But before we get our guest on to the show and find out what they do, why they do it, and some of their business hacks, I want to move on to a platform that I absolutely love. And it kind of follows on from voice messaging, and it's called Loom. Now, there's other platforms out there, but Loom is my kind of go-to app for this. Now, what is it? Well, it's a video recording and desktop recording app. And you can use it on a mobile device or on a desktop or laptop across all platforms. What it's great at is quite often people come to me and say, David, how do I? So this is where I use it quite often. David, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Now, I could sit there and type out an email. Point 1, click here. Point 2, go to this point, and kind of bullet point it. That takes time. And every scenario or every requirement has maybe a different output or a different scenario depending on what they want to achieve. So what I do is I load up Loom, quick click, and I go in there and it records my desktop and my video. I can have a nice little video portal on there, and I will actually create a personalized, this is the big thing, a personalized how-to video just for you. And then I will send that to them. And as it records it into the cloud, as you do it, I'm not emailing or texting or WhatsApping a complete video file. I'm just sending them the URL where it's stored in the cloud. And they go there, they click on it, and they can watch it. And it's a step-by-step. It's a bit like their own personalized YouTube video that they can watch. But the other great thing is I know when they've clicked on it. So I know when they've watched it as well, which is quite encouraging because quite often when you send it, the response to someone watching it is awesomely quick. They literally get it and they go, click, oh, video David sent me. So I find that a really good technique. And there's also ways that you can use that in your sales process as well, where I've worked with clients, helping them to utilize it in their sales funnel to generate incoming opportunities. But yeah, video content, we know people watch. People read less, watch more.
Yeah, you were talking before the show, mate, about a conversation you had with a group of, let's say, younger potential entrepreneurs about the difference between blogs and video. Right? You want to share? You want to share that with the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So
feel free to say no.
No. I love to share. Quite often when I'm working with largish groups, well, small groups as well, but when I'm working with large groups of people, I love to run straw polls. How many of you in the room? Put your hands up. So I ask this question often. How many of you read blogs? How many of you have read a blog in the last week? And I define a blog as content that's on a website in written text format, maybe supported by some images. And yesterday I had 60 young entrepreneurs in the room, and out of 60, Nick, how many do you think put their hand up?
Sadly, probably not many, mate.
No, three
blog readers.
3 blog readers out of 60. And I just asked them what they read, and actually it was to do with a hobby or an interest. That's what they were reading. So they weren't just randomly finding a blog. I asked the same question to the same audience in the same room. How many of you have watched a video on a social platform, so not Netflix or Sky or anything like that, a kind of an informative or possibly formative video on a platform, so typically YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn? Out of the 60, Nick, how many do you think put their hand up in the last 24 hours they've watched something?
No doubt, quite a few.
All of them, every single one of them. Now, that's maybe because we got to maybe 56 and the others just thought they put their hand up because they get picked on, but everybody put their hand up. I said, keep your hand up if you've watched a video in the last, bear in mind this was at 9 o'clock yesterday morning, put your hand up if you've watched a video in the last hour. How many of them kept their hand up?
Were some of them watching videos while you were talking?
No, they weren't. Their phones were tucked away. But in that morning, since they've woken up at whatever time it was, over a third of them that morning had watched a video of some type on a social channel. So video content is super, super, super powerful.
Yeah, and I guess that's out of all the hacks, that's one to kind of really ruminate on, because you might be doing a load of work, sending a load of emails, writing blogs, doing this, and this, and this, and it pays to stop and think. Is this the content, the method, the way my audience wants my information? Because chances are a video is going to resonate more. People are going to watch it. People are going to do something with it, compared with that blog that you've taken, an hour to create. So yeah, I guess there's a tough lesson certainly for us older people that maybe not as comfortable with video. I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I can cast a word or two better than I would perhaps on video. But if I want my audience to absorb it, I guess it's got to come on video.
There you go. So top hack is start using video in your business. When we come back after this quick ad break, we're going to bring our guest on the show. And this individual does like to create video content. Lots of it as well. But also a marketing expert, which will be able to give us a hack or two how to up our game in the marketing world. We're back straight after this. Let's bring on our guest this morning. Please welcome a great friend, a friend of the show, and he's back with us this morning. Please welcome Mr. Richard Pond from Richard Pond Marketing. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, chaps. How are we doing?
Very well, yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm hacking my way through the morning, and I'm here and ready. So, how are you both?
Very well. You just completed the school run? You was on school run?
I got out of the school run today, so that was all right. No, I'm here in the office. Got in nice and early. Been listening to the show. I'm ready for the day ahead. So, yeah, fantastic. All good. So it's been interesting listening to what people's hacks are. I thought the Pomodoro was a type of cherry tomato tool this morning. So now I know it's not, and I might be setting a timer or two. So yeah.
Have a chat with Dom. Dom obviously utilising the system, and I think you know Dom as well. So there you go. It's an opportunity to have a conversation with him, find out how it works, how it benefits his business. And I know there's lots of Pomodoro apps you can download out there in the App Store.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I think with anything though, what you've got to do is find a system that works for you. So sometimes you have, people want to get a big bulks of work done. They want to work hard for 6 hours. And then, and then have a shorter day. Some people want to do longer days with bigger breaks. I don't think there is a correct system. It's the system that works for you. Some people like the 6 a.m. club of being in the office or being in the gym early, and other people work late. I don't think there's a right way. There's your way, and that's the one you have to go with. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. And you kind of find your way in business, don't you? I think you start. When I started my business, I did everything. I said yes to everything. I was working crazy hours, but I felt good about it. I felt, wow, I'm achieving, not necessarily getting the right stuff done, but I felt like I was achieving. And as you grow up, I suppose, into your business, you realize what's more important, what does need focusing on, what needs your attention, and what you can perhaps palm off to something else or someone else. That's a lesson, I guess, you learn as you go along.
One of the hacks that I use, I guess, is that every day I write down the 3 things that are going to move my business forward. So everything else is pretty much day-to-day stuff you got to get done, client work, move your business forward. But if you write down the 3 things that are going to take your business from here to here, because every day you're doing this, you're moving forward. So majority of the stuff that you do isn't important, can wait, but there's generally 3 things that are going to move you to the next level. And because there's some big things that aren't client related, immediate business, they're the ones that get pushed and get pushed and get pushed. But actually, those are the ones that you should focus on. A lot of people have probably read the book Eat Your Frog, or Eat That Frog, I think it was. I think it's Brian Tracy that wrote that. Mm-hmm. It's, get the hard task out of the way first, and then the rest of the day is easier. And basically, that book could have been summed up in about 3 pages, and the rest of it is just basically saying the same thing over and over again. But the principle and the way that, is that, if you can get those important things done, and the way I kind of interpret that is if you put the 3 things that are going to move your business forward and call them your frog, the idea of the name Eat That Frog is that, if you're going to have to eat a frog in a day, that's going to be the hardest thing you're going to have to do. So that's that is my hack number 1.
Eat a frog 1 bite at a time.
Get it down, mate. Get it down, you. An elephant, however, right? That's going to take some chomping, right? So the frog, a task you don't want to do, get it down your neck first thing. An elephant, however, let's call that a project. You need to break that down into bite-sized chunks. Okay?
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? How to eat an elephant 1 bite at a time.
Yeah, you can't do that all on your own either. A project needs help from other people. So your elephant, project, your frog, an unwanted but task.
We're not eating elephants or frogs today. One of my colleagues has just come into the office and is probably wondering why I'm talking about eating frogs and elephants. So,
Richard, tell us a little bit about you in a kind of a nutshell. Richard Pond Marketing. Obviously, it says what it does on the tin, marketing. But what do you do in the marketing world? It's quite a vast world out there, isn't it?
It is. It is.
What is
Yeah.
it you do in the business?
So I've been in and around the marketing world for 25 years this year. So yeah, I know it's a pretty good base group. But yeah, no. So 25 years when I started working in the city in the 90s, where marketing was a lot different. It was a lot of direct mail, email was just coming in, social wasn't a thing for business back then. But now, obviously, it changed, and you have to change with the times. You know, there's a lot more systems and things. I mean, we look after, you know, most things in marketing. You know, for companies, we sort of specialize in small to medium-sized businesses that want to be seen online. They want to get more people to their website. They want to have marketing systems in place. So one of my hacks is, you know, there's a lot of systems out there, but you can't beat a good old whiteboard drawing up a marketing system. So my days generally start with things like saying, this is you, and you've got to have lead streams that go into your website, and then you've got to have analytics and pixels and all of that. That's what I spend doing. So even though I'm a very, as you guys know, that I love system and I love technology, this is one of the best things to use. Something that's visual, and I often have clients come into the office and we map out and we use, you know, where there is mapping software that we use, you can't beat having something visual. So yeah, so that's kind of what we do, is we work with clients to get them more business.
Hack number 2: have a whiteboard.
Have a whiteboard.
Have a whiteboard.
I feel whenever I work at home, I don't have a whiteboard at home. So it's because I generally work from either my home office or in my dining room or wherever, or sometimes even sitting on the bed working. So I don't have a whiteboard at home, and I do feel lost sometimes. I feel like, you know, and I even get bits of paper out and start writing when I've got all the systems that will do it, because I like things visual. So yeah, hack number 2, have a whiteboard. But then, as I say, systems for me and software, excuse me, are really important. I've just written down actually this morning before we came live on air, is some of the systems that I use and programs to run my business. And funny enough, Loom is number 1 on my list that you was talking about, Dave, before I came on. And I use Loom, I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but near off daily, at least every other day for a client, because a client will say, can you have a look at this for me? And I'll go in and I'll do that. And I use Loom on a number of bases. 1, I use it to communicate something back to a client. 2, I use it to show a client what we've done. So if it's an online project, we'll go through and show it. 3, I use it for sales. So sometimes a client will say, I'm interested. So, okay, you haven't got time to get into the office. Let me do a review of your marketing. So I'll go through their website, go through their socials, go through their online presence on Google, etc., etc. And I'll record a Loom video and send it across to them. And in the back of that Loom video, I'll say, well, this is what we can do to help. And then I'll break down and show them other projects, etc., etc. So using Loom for that, and also as well communicating to my staff. So if I ever go out and have a meeting with a client and they want all these changes done on a project, I might record a Loom video for my staff to say, this is what needs doing, and then they can look back and pause and follow. So Loom is a good one. Would you like me to rattle off the other ones? Give
us another one. Give us another one. So we've got Loom, which I love, as we know.
Another one that we use, which is more of a productivity hack, is Trello. So we use Trello boards, and it's one that most people may have come up with. It's basically an online board system. So we use it as a to-do list. We use it as project management, and we've tried them all. To be honest, we've tried Monday.com was another one we used for a while. What other productivity? What productivity?
We use at the moment.
Yeah. Lou, there's a few, isn't there, which we've gone through.
I'm using Notion, which is a relatively new app that I'm using, very similar to Trello, but it has a lot more integration, and it's slightly different. But Notion is another really good project management, planning, organisation tool, which I like. Of course,
check it out. I think one of the keys for me is where I came from, an old school marketing, before the digital era really came into effect, is that we used to have actual job bags. So years ago, we used to have an actual physical job bag with a written job number on it, with the client's details and the spec, and that used to physically put in production, in proof, waiting for client, in folders, in trays. And I've kind of wanted to replicate that, but digitally. And that's why I like Trello, because you can physically drag and put them into different files, and it's very visual. But the beauty of it is obviously you can upload and attach files, customer notes, you can share it with customers. So Trello for productivity. Going through my list, Xero for finance for us is great, because it takes out a lot of the manual bookkeeping, a lot of the manual work. So I guess what we look for in systems and hacks to increase the productivity is if we can find a system that takes away manual hours, it means we've got more time to service our clients, and grow the business and grow our customers' businesses. So things like Xero Finance is really good, because it takes out a lot of the manual input, the receipts, all of that kind of thing, really.
The duplication disappears, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you mentioned receipt processing, whether you're integrating with something like Receipt Bank or you're using the inbuilt Xero tools, but you can scan the receipt, and automatically it's all transcribed in there, rather than someone sitting there having to literally do it line by line, bit by bit. And we're not the only ones that think this, because look, LinkedIn user, not quite sure who, but good morning to you, love Xero. It's brilliant. So yeah, there we go. People are actually confirming that it's a really good platform.
We should get a Xero expert on the show, mate. That's what we should do, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Like next week, we should talk about finances and.
Well, do you know what? Funny enough, it's kind of a request that's been coming up quite a lot. Can we have someone that's going to come along and talk about financial stability and tax planning and accounting? So we've got two great guests next week. Richard, actually, both of these. We have Justin Walton coming on to the show next week, and Paul Pritchard, both from the accounting and numbers world. So they're coming on the show. So next week, what you can do is come on and listen about how to probably save your money some tax, pay less, keep the money in your pockets. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of hacks that come out through those conversations. Well.
Yeah, I know Justin and Paul very well. So especially Justin is a business partner of mine in the networking business that I run. So I have a lot of time for them guys. So that should be very good. So do you want me to pick another couple? I've got about 30 on this list. So should I just read?
We'll be here all day.
No, I'll tell you what I'll do. Though, because everyone wants to get on with their day. If I read them out, and if there's any that you want to know anything more about,
go on then. Read them out one by one.
Hold on, Richard. What's the one? Pick the one, right? Other than the ones like Loom and Trello and Xero that you've mentioned, the one that you feel a business audience needs to investigate. Just the one, right? If you're busy, today's busy. Here's your frog for today. It's this one.
Nick, that's an impossible question.
Brilliant.
Because I don't think there is. You can run with just one. For example, I've got on here Kajabi and Google Ad Planner. So, for example, they have two very different jobs. So, I don't
read out the next 10. Let's hear what the 10 are.
So next 10 is Onlypult, ONLYPULT, which is a social media scheduling software. Little bit like a Hootsuite, but I think it's better. We use this for some of our content. A lot of it we push manually, because I still think that manual time in seeing what things are like. But Onlypult. The Facebook pixel for retargeting. Every website should have a Facebook pixel inserted. Google Analytics. Actually, Nick, I'm going to give Google Analytics as the number one tool, because if you don't know what's going on your website, you can't improve your marketing. So Google Analytics. Canva for doing,
I love Canva.
You got Canva for doing quick stuff. If you want to quickly do something, resize it, you want to quickly get an image up there, you upgrade to the pro version and you get millions of free royalty-free images. If you don't want to open up Photoshop or InDesign and spend hours doing something, Canva is a great tool. Then you've got things like Linked Helper, which is an automation tool for LinkedIn, which is, from a marketing.
Good or bad? We'll pick on one more. Good or bad on the LinkedIn Helper? I mean, I am on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. It's a great platform, and I know there's many others probably watching now on LinkedIn who get bombarded these days, even more so in the last year or so because of the lockdown and stuff like that. Bombarded with emails which are 100% automated, damn obvious, coming into your inbox, and they connect with you, you potentially accept them, and then the first thing on a timer, countdown, whatever they've set that for, 4 hours, 8 hours, next day, in comes a inbound email selling themselves. Is it a good thing? It's very obvious that these are automated processes.
Yeah, I think they're, but what do you got to do with anything? Is you've got to make automation look real. So effectively, you don't have to set it for 8 hours. You can set it for 2 weeks. So thanks for connecting. We haven't had a chance to speak yet. How's your day? Starts the conversation. Oh yes, hi Richard. Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. And then at that point, you take the automation out and you jump in manually. What the automation does is gets the connections and it gets the initial conversation started. Then you jump in and you manually do it. So as I say, there's a couple of other things like
give us one more out of your list randomly. I don't know. Close your eyes, have a point, and see what comes up.
I'm going to give you the Google Ad Planner.
Google Ad Planner.
Because basically what that does is if you run Google Ads, which we run a lot of Google Ads for customers, and they turn around and say, I want to target this person with this search term. Now, the Ad Planner allows you to go in there and see how many people in the last month, 6 months, year have been searching for that search term. So we use the Google Ad Planner to actually find where the cost per click is low, but the search volume is high. So people might be not actually bidding on those keywords, which means that we can get more clicks for the money. So we use the Google Ad Planner a lot. Whereas I know other people that run Google Ads themselves will just pick a list of 10 keywords and then do it, but they might be spending a lot of money or choosing keywords that nobody's searching for. So yeah, Google Ad Planner is really good.
Google Ad Planner. So that gives us quite a definitive list of some of the apps and hacks that you're using in your business. If people want to find out more about Richard Pond Marketing, how can they get in touch?
richardpond.com as it's popped up on the screen. You find me on social. I offer a free marketing session to anybody, so you can come down to the office and play with me whiteboard with me. or on Zoom, because generally when we do a free marketing session, from our point of view, it finds out whether we can work with you, and for your point of view, you get a free session of finding out what you need to do. And we don't push. A lot of times customers will come in and they'll go, okay, what I'll do is I'll go and implement that myself for 6 months, and then if I get stuck, I'll come back to you. So from our point of view, it's just helping people. And when you help people, generally you get something in return, whether it's now, 6 months, or 3 years down the line. So, give stuff out and you get stuff back.
Yeah, absolutely. Pay it forward, as we like to call it. Mr. Pond from Richard Pond Marketing. Great to have you here in the virtual studio yet again, giving us more top tips and educating us on the tools that you use and what we should be using in our business. We'll catch up with you soon, Richard. I believe.
Have a great day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, have a great day, and we'll catch you for a breakfast at some point soon.
Sounds good to me.
Cheers, Richard.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.
Here we go.
Ideas, suggestions, experience aplenty shared with the lovely audience. Loom, Trello, Notion, Zero, Google Ad Planner, Google Analytics. There's a lot of tech there, mate.
Yeah, superb tips, Richard. Thank you very much. Coming from Donna there. And just to go back, our unknown LinkedIn user was Sharon, a friend of the show. But hello, Sharon. We know who you are now, and Sharon is a great business accountant, and she's offered to come on and talk about Zero. Sharon, what we'll do is we'll get you on next week's show. We'll get you in. We'll have 3 great guests coming on next week's show. Sharon, if you're around between 8 and 9 o'clock, ping me an email. We'll give you the joining link, and you can come on and tell us a little bit about Zero and how it can benefit SMEs, small to medium-sized enterprises, making their life easier and simpler as well, saving them money probably because you haven't got to pay the staff to sit there and do the processing and all that type of stuff. So Sharon, let us know and we'll get you on the show. One of the things I want to pick up on what Richard mentioned, I had so many more to talk about, but was the pay it forward. We spoke about this before we went live because we do our unscripted show, but we just pick as you can see, guys, I just pick a load of bullet points Nick and I talk about. And one of those was pay it forward. I'm a great believer in that. Give someone a helping hand. They might be just starting their business up. They might be, bootstrapping it, very little money, not sure quite where to go. Business can be lonely at times. Just give them a helping hand, a bit of a mentoring, a bit of advice, a bit of guidance. Pay it forward. Do it for nothing. You do it for love. And I do believe what comes around goes around. Put yourself out. Something will come back to you when you're least expecting it and help you.
Yeah, the great world of reciprocation. Okay, and especially if you give without looking to receive. All right, that's a very human, very gracious, lovely thing to do. Don't expect anything in return, but give. All right, give of your experience, your knowledge. That's one of the things I love about this show, mate. All the guests come on free of charge, share their knowledge and experience with the world. What's not to like about that, right? Share it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Pay it forward. What can you do today or tomorrow that's going to cost you nothing or very little, but it's going to accelerate someone else's opportunity or ability to go to the next level? How could you help someone? It's a great feel-good factor as well. Sharing is caring. That's it, Nick. We've come to the end. I want to go through this. We're gonna need another business hacks, growth hacks show just to cover the rest of the things I've got on the list. Is there one more that you want to pick up on, Nick? Is there one that you've got on your list? You think, God, we need to share this one today. Let's have one more each.
Yeah, other people.
Around you.
Yeah, there's people that do stuff much better than you. Okay, so if you have access to them, ask them. All right, get them involved. Okay, you do loads of stuff, mate, much better than I do, and I'll ask you. And you're lovely, so you'll happily help. I find other people a huge benefit and resource, and I'm one of those other people too. If people need help, more than happy to help.
Sharon's joined us on the Facebook platform now, and you're showing up, Sharon. We can see who you are, and you love Richard's tips there as well. So that's great. So my final one to kind of wrap up the show is DOA. I mentioned it last week, I believe, and that's delegate, outsource, and automate. So at the end of the day, you're not always the best person to do that job. Delegate it to someone else in your team. If you have a team around you, give it to someone else to do. If they can do it better, more efficiently, and free up your time, makes perfect sense. Outsource it if you can't delegate it. Who do you know that's not part of your team? Maybe a consultant or a third party who you can give that job to do. Outsource it to someone else. Yeah, it's going to cost you, but the chances are they're going to do it quicker, better than you are able to, and free up your time to go and spend your time earning the money to pay them. But hopefully you'll make more money than it would cost you. And then finally, if you can't delegate it, outsource it. Why not automate it? Put in place a process that just makes it happen while you're sleeping, while you're sitting on the beach, sipping on your cocktail, or while you're doing great family things, or whatever it is for you, your favorite hobby or interest. Automation is always running in the background. So I love my DOA. I think it's a really important part of growing your business. It's a great business hack. There you go. That's my final.
Great show. Thank you very much, audience. If you want to get involved, keep the comments coming in. Lovely to hear from you across any of the platforms. If you want to come on the show, let us know. Share your knowledge and experience with the world. It's been brilliant, mate. Brilliant. A jam-packed session this morning, which is as expected. It's there's a lot to talk about, as always.
We're back here live next week, Thursday morning, 8 o'clock from the Chatbox studio. Until next week, from me, David Bell.
And me, Nick Looby.
Bye-bye for now.
Cheerio.